my name's Yvette Arellano, and I am in Dr. Narayan's science for grades EC through 6. And for her class, we had to create a science project, and I decided to do what brands of bubble gum produce the biggest bubbles. So the purpose of my science project is to see which bubblegum brand blows the biggest bubble. So in case you're a gum chewer and you're looking to see which one would produce the biggest bubbles, then this experiment will be helpful for you to choose the right one. So during my research for different gums, I found out that there's a difference between chewing gum and bubble gum. The difference is that chewing gum is just used for chewing, and bubble gum is so you can actually produce the bubbles. And I also found out that in other experiments from other people that were doing the same thing as I am, they found out that the double bubble gum blew the biggest bubbles. And another interesting thing that I found out was that some modern gum-based ingredients can include polyethylene, which is a product used to make plastics. So it's used to make hula hoops, ketchup bottles, and other plastic things. And it sounded dangerous. Well, it sounds dangerous to have in something that you chew, but apparently it's not like dangerous for your health, that it's still okay to chew on. And here I have a little history about the different brands of gum that I use. So for the double bubble gum, I found out that that was actually the first commercial bubble gum that was made in 1928, even though gum has been around since 1840s. And for the super bubble, there was a lot of competition during that time because bubblegum was becoming very popular. So they decided to sell this brand for only 1 cent. And then for the Bubble Yum gum, that was the first soft bubble gum that was marketed in the US. And then for the Hubba Bubba, this was made in 1979, and it was introduced by the Wrigley Company. And the name came from a phrase that soldiers would use back in World War II to express approval. So before starting my experiment, my hypothesis was that out of the 5 different bubblegum brands, the double bubblegum would blow the biggest bubble. The materials that I used for my project were 5 different brands of gum, which were the Hubba Bubba gum, Bubble Yum, Double Bubble, Super Bubble, and Airheads gum. I used a pencil and paper to record my measurements while I was doing the experiment. I had a partner chew the gum. I used 1 piece of gum for all 3 trials. I used a string to measure the diameter around the bubble. I used a ruler to, once I measured the diameter, I would grab the string and then I would measure it on the ruler in inches. I used a timer so I could time 3 minutes into my partner chewing the gum so she could be ready to blow the bubble. And I used the camera so I can take pictures of the different bubble sizes that she produced while chewing the gum. So for my procedure, we had, to start off, we had 3 trials. So at the beginning of each one, we would begin by chewing 1 piece of gum for about 3 minutes. Then once my partner felt that the texture was good enough to blow the bubble, she would begin blowing the bubble as big as possible. And then I would measure the size of the bubble using the string, so I would use it to measure the diameter. And then I would grab the string, depending on the diameter, I would grab the string and then I would measure it on the ruler in inches. And then I recorded the trial and measurement on the data table. And then we repeated these steps for all 5 brands of bubblegum. The independent variable of my experiment were the 5 different brands of bubblegum. The dependent variable was the average diameter of the bubbles blown, and the constant variables were the amount of time the gum was chewed and the person chewing the gum and blowing the bubbles. Okay. Here's the chart where I had the different brands. I had the brand under here, and I had the 3 trials: trial 1, trial 2, and trial 3. And then, as you can see, I began with Super Bubble, and for all 3 trials, it had a decent size. So right here, it started off with 7 inches, and then it went on. For the second trial was 4 inches, and then the third trial was 5.5 inches. And then we went on to the double bubble, and that one, for the first one, it was 2.5 inches. The second trial, we had a lot of trouble blowing the bubbles, so we didn't get a good measurement, so we got 0 in for that one. And then the second one, the third one, we were able to get something, so we got 2 inches. And then for the Hubba Bubba gum, for the first trial, we got the biggest bubble, which was 12 inches. And then for the second one, we got 15 inches. And then the third one was 16.5 inches. So for each trial, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then the Bubble Yum brand, it started off with 5 inches for the first trial. The second trial was 7.4 inches. And then the third trial was 4.5 inches. And then we went down to the Airhead gum, which was the last one, and we had a lot of trouble getting a bubble out of that one. And then for the second one, we finally got something, but it was really small, so it was 1 inch. And then for the third trial, we got 0 inches. Okay, and here you can see the bar graph that I created for the first trial. And as you can see, the Hubba Bubba was the first one, the biggest, the one that produced the biggest bubble in the first trial. Then the second one was the Super Bubble. And then the third one was the Bubble Yum. And then the fourth brand that produced, the fourth one was the Double Bubble. And the last one was Airhead, which produced nothing. And then for the second trial, we have Hubba Bubba, still the biggest one. And then for this one, we have Bubble Yum at second place. And then third place was Super Bubble. And then this one, Airhead, was fourth place, and Double Bubble was in last. And for the third trial, we're back to around the same spot as the first trial. So Hubba Bubba was still in first, and then the second one was Super Bubble, and then Bubble Yum was the third one, and then we were back to Double Bubble being the fourth one, and Airhead being the last one. Okay, and here are some pictures that I took during the different trials. This one on the left side is trial number 1, and you can see the size of the Bubble Yum bubblegum, the Super Bubble, and the Hubba Bubba. And then for the second trial, you can see the bubble for Bubble Yum, for Hubba Bubba, the Super Bubble, and the Airhead. And as you can see, that was the smallest we could get for the Airhead, so it was a hard one for that. And here are the pictures for the third trial. We have the one for Bubble Yum, and we have Hubba Bubba, we have Double Bubble, and the Super Bubble. And well, for the Airhead, we couldn't take a picture because we didn't get any results for that one. So after my experiment, I ended up finding out that Hubba Bubba gum was the one to blow the biggest bubbles. So for all three of the trials, the Hubba Bubba was in first place with the biggest bubble than the other 4 brands. The average size blown with the Hubba Bubba gum was 14.5 inches, and I figured this out by adding all three numbers that I got for the trials and then dividing them by 3. So my average was 14.5, and for the super bubble average it was 5.5 inches. The average for the double bubble was 2.5 inches, and the average for bubble yum was 5.6 inches. And the average for the bubble size of the airhead was 0.3 inches. So in conclusion, my hypothesis that the double bubble would blow the biggest bubble was incorrect, because the experiment concluded that the Hubba Bubba blew the biggest bubble, and double bubble actually had one of the lowest averages in my experiment. And I guess like whenever I was thinking of my hypothesis, I didn't think of the texture of the gum, because uh, once I got to chewing the gum after my partner did it, I realized that the texture had a lot to do with the way that you blew the gum, or how big it came out. The way that I related my project to science was the way that just basically gum in general is science, because the way it's made is very different compared to other foods. It's basically made out of products that you find in plastic, but yet you can still eat. So it's classified as a product containing a liquid phase and a crystalline phase, which provides gum with the characteristics that it has with elastic and plastic. And also just the texture of gum, like once you get to chewing gum, you change its properties. So like the warmth of your mouth softens the gum, and chewing separates out the sugar and coloring and helps align the long molecules in the gum base. So to blow a bubble, you're supposed to chew until all the flavor is gone, so that the smaller sugar molecules don't weaken the bubble. So I believe gum has a lot to do with science, because it's not something that stays the same. Like it changes as like you chew it, or yeah. Here are some of my resources. I hope you guys enjoyed my slideshow, my presentation about my project, and if there's any gum chewers out there, then I hope this helped you out a bit. Thank you.